Money and the Law of Attraction, Learning to Attract Wealth, Health and Happiness by Jerry and Esther Hicks. Quote, so the pivoting process is simply whenever you recognize that you are feeling a negative emotion, it is really that you are feeling the lack of harmony with something that you want. The obvious thing for you to do is to stop and say, I'm feeling a negative emotion, which means I am not in harmony with something that I want. Ask yourself the question, what is it that I do want? What do I want? So the process of pivoting is just that. It is so simple. How do we master our mind? We need to practice the art of pivoting. And that is when you recognize a thought that is not congruent with the direction in which you want to move, that isn't resonating at a higher level, that's actually moving down the emotional guidance scale, you need to stop and you need to recognize it for what it is. And then you need to just simply ask yourself, what is it that I want? And in asking yourself, what is it that I want, you're going to hold the thought now of the thing that's more inspired. And that is going to move you back up the scale. Read from another quote. When you focus long enough that you feel passion, you harness more power and you achieve greater results. How many of us are actually able to do that? And this is something that I had a lot of mindfulness around this morning. So it was probably more visualization that I was doing this morning. I was just simply trying to hold a thought on something that I want. I'll give you an example of this. My dream street in Manly is Bower. My dream house is number 38. And I can close my eyes and I can visualize with perfect clarity exactly how that house looks. I know every piece of the architecture. I know every undulation on the land. I know exactly the view that I would hold if I was standing in any area of that building. I've actually never been in that building. I know exactly how it's going to smell to me. I know exactly how it's going to feel to me in terms of the textures of the material that's in the house. I can hear the laughter of the children running around and playing in the pool. I can hear the music playing in the background. I know exactly how my office is going to feel to me, how it's going to enclose all of my thoughts and ideas. I can visualize the bookcase. I can see it full of thousands of books that I've personally read or have summarized that have touched my life and improved the way that I think and feel about life. I know every inch of that house, yet I've never walked in it. What I was practicing this morning, seeing how far I could go and what emotion I could raise by actually taking myself through a guided visualization and focusing in on every element of that house and the way in which I would experience living in it and how that would emotionally make me feel. You can see I'm getting emotional now. To me, I am in that house. It's a done deal, right? And I go past that house. I run past that house every single day. The address is etched in my mind. So how clear are you about the things that you want in your life? How much passion are you able to actually visualize something and hold your focus on it so steadfastly that it brings up pure positive emotion? Because when you can do that, you can start taking the inspired action every single day to manifest that into your reality. And that's exactly what I'm doing, because no one is going to gift me that house. That house is not going to be granted to me. I have to work for that house. I have to take inspired action to accumulate the financial resources to actually buy that house. So it takes focused attention. It takes infused emotion. There has to be a reason beyond just wanting the asset. That house to me is not an asset. That house is a home. That is going to be the mixing pot of all of the experiences that I have moving forward with my grandchildren. Can you see it? Can you feel it? Because I can. So what is it that you can see and feel? What are you holding on to beyond just the attainment of the asset? Because that's where we need to get to. Those moments in your life when you feel absolute exhilaration are moments of complete alignment with the source within you. What can I say about this? Because I think I said a lot of it just before. When I'm feeling complete alignment with source, it's usually when I'm, as Abraham says, tapped in, tuned in, and turned on to something that truly inspires me. Like doing this call, like mentoring and coaching this community, like helping people a little bit further down the road with their marketing. What is it that actually is going to bring up those pure positive emotions for you? I believe we're all here to serve. How can you serve? And in finding that service and actually performing that service on a day-to-day basis, you can't help but be reaching for a higher vibration. because it's actually through your service, I believe, that you're going to find the greatest joy and happiness, and that will bring about your absolute exhilaration. Let's just talk quickly about socialization. Almost all people in almost all societies lose their way because they are coaxed or coerced away from their own guidance system. We talked earlier on in the call about conditioning and I think the awesome opportunity that everyone in this community has to make sure that we don't condition our children, the future generations that are going to be as shining examples from us, the way in which we live our lives by design without limitation, being conscious of the fact that our thoughts and actions produce our results and paying that forward to our children. People out there at the moment are conditioned usually by old paradigm thinking, and it's the ones like us that are in this rare company at the moment that realize that there's probably a higher calling, a greater good, a different way of actually living, of breaking free of the old paradigm thinking, of actually starting to take the inspired action to live our lives by design that can actually break the old patterns, the old habits, the old ways in which we've been brought up or coaxed or coerced away from our own guidance system. Maybe you've got people in the background that aren't as overly enthusiastic about you following your dream and doing what you're doing to achieve the things that you want to achieve. Don't let those people influence you. You need to remove yourself, detach yourself from the good opinion of other people. If you let other people influence the decisions and the inspired action that you want to take on a day-to-day basis, then more fool you. Because those people can't live your life. Only you can. And I'm pretty certain that those people aren't going to step up to the plate and gift you everything that's on your dreams list. So we need to be more tapped in and tuned into our intuition and follow our guidance system. It's our life. The emotional guidance system. You actually have only two choices in emotion. You've either got a good feeling or you've got a bad feeling. When I hear the words emotional guidance system, I always visualize this ruler with a scale of 1 to 10, and somewhere in the middle is feeling okay. And down at the one end, that's sort of depression, and up the top end, 10, you're feeling joyous, love, rapture, pure positive emotion, immersed in and surrounded by peace beyond that. So at any point in time, we're always floating around somewhere in between that scale, aren't we? Probably for most of us in this community on this call that are actually making conscious choice on a day-to-day basis now and taking inspired action and being tapped in and tuned in by coming to these types of calls, you're probably floating around somewhere between a 5 to 10. We can always reach for that higher feeling if we take control of our minds and focus on the things that we want to actually experience. Like the example that I gave you with me living in the house, experiencing the experience of living in the house because I can feel it. So the emotional guidance system. Esther says you actually only have two choices in emotion, a better feeling one or a worse feeling one. So you could accurately say that there are really only two emotions, and you effectively utilize your guidance system when you deliberately choose the better feeling of those two options. I mean, how cool is that? Seriously. We get to choose how we want to feel. Some pretty cool stuff there from Money and the Law of Attraction. For me, the big point that came out was magnificent money. I'm going to read this again because this is Money and the Law of Attraction. Most of you are much closer to a financial fortune than you are even allowing yourself to purely desire, because in the thought that it might come, you right away begin thinking of how disappointed you will be if it does not come. And so in your lackful thought, you do not allow yourself to desire or to expect anything magnificent in terms of money. And that is the reason why, for the most part, you are living a rather mediocre financial experience. My solution to that is not to focus on the money. My solution to that is to actually focus on the emotion that I want to feel as I'm experiencing something that I want in my life, like the house example. Now, that house is probably worth $6 to $8 million. I don't know where the $6 to $8 million is going to come from, but all I know is I want that experience of growing up with the joy of grandchildren around me and experiencing that in that location. So that's all we've got time for on this video. I look forward to seeing you back here on some of my future videos.